All right. One of the laws, this is also Likuti Torah. This is right before the essay that we just finished learning about why the snake had to be put on the pole. Okay, one of the details of the laws of the ashes of the red cow is that it has to be sprinkled, sprayed on the impure person on the third day and on the seventh day, right? An impure person a person that touched a dead body, for instance. So he goes through the priest or whatever and he says, listen, I'm impure. I want to go to the temple and I can't go. So he says, okay, start counting days. Day number 1, day number 2. Come to me on the third day. Comes on the third day, they sprinkle this ashes mixed in water and they sprinkle it. And he says, okay, count another 4 days. So he counts day number 4, 5, 6, day number 7. He comes to him, he sprinkles to him again. That's it, he's pure. He goes to the mikveh, and that night he's pure. So it says it has to be sprinkled on the third day and on the seventh day. Hine, behold, in the raising of the dead, it says, Bayom HaShlishi Yekemenu v'nichi elefanam. It says, on the third day, we will raise us up and we will stand before, we will live in front of it. The Inyan means, it's one of the prophecies, on the third day. Why the third day? So some people say because it's the first temple, the second temple, and the third temple will be built. But why the third day? The Inyan is the number 3 and the number 7. It says number 3 corresponds to mercy. When we pray, we say, Mechayim Mesim Barachamim Rabbi. God, you in life, that's the second prayer in what's called the Shmon Esrei prayer. Jews pray 3 times a day. God enlivens the dead with great mercy. It also says there's tal she'atid l'chiot bo. There is a dew from heaven, D-E-W, that's going to enliven the dead. This is the source of the 13 attributes of mercy. Mercy. Raising the dead is with mercy. Now remember, there's red cow, the ashes of red cow. It takes away the impurity of death. It says the real raising of the dead comes from mercy. This has to be attached to mercy. Like it says in another place. Tiferet, chesed gevura tiferet. Tiferet is the third of the emotions. There's love and fear and tiferet. Tiferet means mercy. This is the attributes of mercy. This is the third attribute of God's emotions. This is the attribute of Jacob. Jacob is the third of the fathers. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Abraham is love. Yitzchak represents fear, awe. Jacob, the third of the fathers of Judaism, is mercy. And mercy, Ola Araketer, goes up to God's essence, his crown. Rachamim Rabim, that's the idea of great mercy. That's the secret of the Briach HaTichonim of Briach Min HaKatzeh Al HaKatzeh. There was a central pole in the tabernacle that held all of the boards together. That's the central one. There was a pole on the top, a pole on the bottom of the boards that made the walls of the tabernacle, but then there was one in the middle that went from one end into the other. That's the middle, that's the number 3. It goes from the lowest to the highest. That's what it means on the third day. It says God will enliven us. Why? Because it's a revelation of God's mercy. That's what it means. That's what it says. God said in the future redemption, I will lift you up on the wings of eagles. Why eagles? Because it says that the chariot of God that was seen by Ezekiel and by Isaiah, as they say, saw 4 faces: the face of an ox, the face of a lion, the face of a man, and the face of a eagle. An eagle is mercy. The eagle represents mercy. The Ora Rachamim, this arouses mercy on the descent of the soul in the body. Tremendous mercy, right? The soul is put down into the world. It's almost helpless. Almost helpless, right? The body, the surrounding peer pressure, it makes the person go crazy. Education, even proper education. So God has great mercy on the soul. By means of this, Why? If God is mercy, just don't put the soul into the body in the first place. But that's what we learned in the previous mimer just now, that God does it for us to elevate the world. That's the idea of Mashiach, to reveal God in the physical world. That's what says, God says, by means of this, I will bring you to me, like Nesher Ka'ir, like an eagle that hovers over its children. Yisa'eu all of Rasab, and it lifts its children on its shoulders. God will elevate us with his tremendous mercy. That that's what it means. We will, on the third day, we will live in front of you, in front of God. Not like here in the world where we're so distant from God. In the future will be revealed panecha, the inside of God, God's face, so to speak, al yedei, by means of shalamayla miashvira batikun, by means of, I made a mistake. Yitgala penimis, that will reveal the inside of Atik Yomim. Atik Yomim was the inner level of God's crown, which this is above even the breaking of the vessels and all the fixing. In other words, it's above all bad, all separation. The raising of the dead will be, the world will be like it was before Adam sinned. And according to some opinions, even higher, because Adam was supposed to live forever. That's what it means on the third day. It says that Abraham, when he took Isaac to sacrifice him, so it says that on the third day, he saw this mountain far away where he was supposed to sacrifice him. God made him travel for 3 days until he showed him the place to do it. That's like it says that Yaakov that redeemed Abraham. Yaakov, he was the third father, he redeemed Abraham love. Sometimes when a person, it's impossible for a person to love God or to love another Jew or to love, right? So you have mercy. Mercy means, have mercy on me, God, that I should have an inspiration. Or you have mercy on this other person. Somebody comes up to you and spits in your face and calls you all sorts of names, and you get all angry. Someone says, listen, that guy, he just was he just got some terrible news. He lost all of his money in the stock market. So you realize the guy's crazy. You have mercy on him. Mercy redeems love. It says that Abraham saw this mountain from far away on the third day to sacrifice Yitzchak. That means Masha Rachok Me'asaga. That's this level he saw from far away. What did he see? He saw this aspect of mercy, of God's mercy that's above any understanding. That's what King Solomon said. I thought I would be wise with this red cow, the secret of the red cow to battle death. King Solomon said, I thought I was wise, but this thing of getting rid of death is far away from me. What he means is far. That's from this aspect of, we said, mercy, which goes up to the inside of God's crown, Atik Yomin. Totally incomprehensible. Sha'omer Shlomo, King Solomon said this on the commandment of the red cow. Calls that all this is drawn down when? On the third day. The third day, that's great mercy. If we can just arouse God's mercy, it will even enliven the dead. And this is a hint at that we're arousing this mercy. That's the third day. Like it says, this commandment, lo rachokahu, like it says, it's not far from you. Mercy is close to us. Shenamar, this is talked about tshuva, that a person returning to God, returning to this truth, this is close to us. That even though that it comes from what you said, this is God's mercy. If God has mercy on us, that even the most distant things can be close, even though they're drawing down God's presence from this level of the crown, the inner crown, the Makif Elyon, that's called far away. Nevertheless, it comes very close. Why? Because, like it says, the attribute of mercy, like we said, the eagle, it lifts its children up on the wings. Same thing, God, because of his mercy, lifts us up. That's the third day. The third day is this tremendous mercy that comes from a high place to even enliven the dead. What about the seventh day? Hine, there's Afer Apara. There is the dirt, the ashes of the para. This is also a type of tshuva. This is tshuva, to not just from mercy, This is tshuva, returning to God to burn up all of the bad thoughts we've got. Al Yedei Zeh, by means of this, is drawn down this living water from the level of Chachma, from the level of God's wisdom, which is also far away, and it becomes close. That comes from the number 7. The number 7, we're going to see that's humility. Like we say that you have to take the ashes, put them into water, and you sprinkle them on a person that's impure. So also a person will ish et nafsho ha'asura v'kashura, a person when he realizes that his soul is being tied down into the foolishness and the, how do you say, the evil of this world, it's considered to be like it's dead. And therefore, like it says, v'yitan et risham kivro. It says in the prophecy that all the evil people will be buried. Like it says, Rashayim b'chayim mikra mesim. It says that the evil people, even when they're alive, they're called dead. How can we arouse? We just finished saying, by this tremendous mercy from above. Therefore, it's also on the 3rd day, that's mercy, because it arouses mercy on the soul. Have mercy on us, etc., etc., etc. But the 7th day, this is the level of Malchut. That's the lowest of the 10 sphirot, of the 7 attributes, the emotions. This is what? The level of King David. Humility. Ushpizin Yaakov hu a gimel. We said, and Zion Ushpizin. And on the holiday of Sukkot, it says that every night a different spiritual guest comes into our house. On the first day, it's Abraham. The second, into our sukkah, not our house, into our sukkah. The first night is Abraham. The second night is Yitzchak. The third night is Yaakov. The third night is Yaakov. We said Yaakov, Jacob, that's mercy. The last night, the 7th night, that's King David. David is the number 7. Is David, this is a Merkava to Malchut. King David, this is a chariot to God's kingship. Lefishu b'chinas David Avdi, a servant, ki li b'nei Yisrael avedim, to be a servant to God. Al yedei shiyu b'chinas avadim, by means of taking it on yourself, true humility, and saying, God, whatever you want to do, I'll do, like King David did. By means of that, you become mine. Like it says in another place, and etc., 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 that this level of a servant, which is total surrender, without any logic or reasoning, the source is very, very high. Namely, it draws down from this level of keter. It draws down also from this level of the crown, from where mercy came from. This is what's called Malchut of Ein Sof. The kingship of God is drawn down when you decide to be a servant of God. Then you become what's called mine, true humility. That's the 7th, the lowest of the aspect, like ashes, like water. Behold, the source of the death comes from the breaking of the vessels. The breaking of the vessels is a Kabbalistic concept, but all evil comes from that. This was called the 7 kings of Tohu, the 7 kings from the world of confusion, that they all died. Bela is dat. The 7 corresponds to the 7 emotions of God, but this is on the bad side. That's also the idea of the Eitz Hadat Tov Ra. That's also the idea of the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. How do you get rid of this? By Chachma, Ilah, Kativat, Yamutu B'lo B'Chachma. Eitz Chaim, that's the tree of life. How much more so the level of the crown, the life of lives. How do we draw down this level? Well, mercy we draw down by requesting mercy. This inner level of the God's crown, so to speak, to be like King David, and because David is the Mashiach. This is drawn down by bittul, by total surrender. This is above any sort of awareness of God. That's the number 7. Also, when Jacob, the rabbis say, Yaakov Avinu didn't die. That he's above the breaking of the vessels. Yeah, Jacob was above death. And of course, we say when we do Kiddush Levana, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayom, King David is also alive and existing. Therefore, the sprinkling of the blood in order to get rid of the death is on the third day, corresponding to Jacob, and on the seventh day, corresponding to King David, because both of them never died, and this draws down what's called God's mercy and God's kingship into the world to enliven even the dead. Let's now learn the Davar Malchut, the third day and the seventh day, the Davar Malchut.